Welcome. Today we are going to go through some PowerShell to get hardware specifications off of a device using the PowerShell tool. This is intended to be a learning exercise for myself, but could be used in a capacity for gathering details about hardware that you are going to sell online. This could include on Craigslist, eBay, Facebook, or other marketplaces that you might be trying to sell a device. Note, this is most certainly overkill if you're just trying to sell a single device. There are many other quick ways to look up this information, but I will copy the PowerShell code that I am currently putting together in the description of this video. So it may not be overkill. It may go smoother to just paste it into your PowerShell ISE and run it and get the description you need. So without further ado, let's get into the meat and potatoes. So the first thing we are going to do is grab the Get-CimInstance, and we are going to gather the class name of Win32 underscore computer system. So if we run that, you'll see we get various details back. What we really want in this scenario is to just get the model. So I'm going to pipe that and grab select model. So if we run that again, we'll get just the model back. And that's all we are looking for now. So now if we copy that command and we'll paste it in here, we're going to change the Win32 computer system to Win32 video controller. And this one we are going to run without a pipe for now. I'm also going to comment out the model so that way we can run this item. So here you'll notice that we have two video controllers that appear. We have the Intel UHD graphics, which come integrated with most Intel CPUs. And then we have the NVIDIA GeForce graphics card that is also on board on this device. So most people are not going to get excited about the Intel UHD graphics unless they are on a desktop or on a server or some device along the lines of that where maybe they want to know for a fact that the CPU has video capabilities. So if you are selling the device without a graphics card, it might be worthwhile, but in this instance, the larger selling point for most people is going to be the NVIDIA CPU. So just to keep things simple, we are going to remove any video processors that are UHD. So if we come in here and type where video processor, and we're going to do a dash NotLike, and we're going to say in here 2 quotes, and then we're going to put 2 stars, and then from there we are going to say UHD. So what we're saying is we want the video processors where UHD is not in the description of that item. And then we're going to pipe that one more time and say select video processor. So now if we run that again, scroll up here, you will see that now we are getting exclusively that NVIDIA GPU. So let's comment that line of code out. And we'll add in a new line. I'm going to copy and paste our first line here just for simplicity and for less type. So Now we are going to grab the Win32_processor. So let's put this out. And we are going to want to select the name. And I'm also going to add a flag here called first. And first we'll grab the first reference that comes to the query. So, and we're going to grab the first one. So you can specify if you want the first 2, 3, 4, however many objects, but we want just the first one. Note that most computers have a single processor. However, there are some that do have dual processors, or sometimes more than that, depending on what kind of server or desktop or laptop you are selling. But in this case, I figure most people are going to be running a single CPU system. So we're just going to grab the first CPU. You don't have to have this flag. Feel free to remove it if you would like to. And I'm going to run this. And you'll see now here we got the Intel i7 processor back, so we got what we needed there. Now we are going to copy that last line we wrote, paste it, and the next thing we want to look at is the memory. So as you might have guessed, it's going to start with Win32, and this one is called physical memory, all one word. And we want to grab the manufacturer and the speed. And once again, we're going to grab the first one here. While it is possible to mismatch speeds in manufacturers of RAM and different things like that, I would hope that any device you are selling has consistent manufacturer and speeds for whatever device you are trying to sell. It's not recommended to run mismatched while it is possible. So in this case, I am assuming that your device has matching manufactured and megahertz speed RAM. So when we run this now, we are grabbing just the first set of information. Most devices are going to run 2 or more sticks of RAM. Sometimes it's only 1, but in this case, assuming that all the RAM is matching, we can grab just the first instance that comes back to us. So now we have that information, we're going to comment out that line. So now our next step here is to get the physical memory size. So we know its speed, but we don't know how much memory in terms of gigabytes or capacity that we actually have. So first thing we'll do here, I'm just going to comment out the pipe on this, and then we're just going to run this quickly. So as you can see here, we have a capacity here on our first stick of RAM, and then we have a capacity here. And it's real ugly and long and does not make a lot of sense for most people that are looking to buy a device. So what we're going to do is sum up all of the capacities of the RAM on our computer and bring that to be divided by gigabytes so we can get a clear number that will make sense to a buyer. And how we are going to do that is we're going to keep the same Get-CimInstance Win32 physical memory, but instead what we are going to do here is pipe that into a measure object. We're going to grab the property of capacity, which is what you were seeing that ugly number is part of. and we are going to say sum. And with that, that is going to sum up all of the capacities of RAM together. So that way we can get one combined large ugly number. So I just ran that, and you'll see here we have now this ugly number and a count of 2 and some other things, but we're still not quite to where we want to be. So now now that we've added ellipses to the front and end of this statement, we can do a dot sum, and we can divide by 1 gigabyte. So now when we run this, you'll notice we get 64 back. So it's showing 64 gigs of RAM. So that covers that piece. So that gets us all the main pertinent information a buyer would be interested in. What GPU do you have? What's the make and model of your device? What processor are you running? What physical memory is in the device? What's its speed? How much memory do you have? Who's the manufacturer of that memory? All those are details that people would be interested in. So now that we know we're getting all of those details, let's make these all have variables so we can create a nice sentence really simply for us to paste into our site that we are selling on, or our marketplace. So the first one we're going to call model, which hopefully makes good sense since that's the model of our device. Second one we are going to call GPU since that's the GPU name. And the third one we are going to call CPU since that is our CPU name. The fourth one we are going to call memory. And the last one we are going to call memory size. So now we have all of those details going into variables. We're going to now get our sentence for our title written up here. My post is going to be the action we run in PowerShell. And our first option is going to be model. And we're going to grab the model from model. And then we're going to say width. And then we're going to do a GPU. And we want to get the video processor from GPU. And then we're going to say GPU feature. And I am saying and in this situation, assuming we have a single processor. And also note that this looks like gobbledygook, but it'll make good sense here in a second. So I'm saying now CPU name, and let's get in with, and then we're going to say memory size, and I'm going to put gigabytes right next to that. And we're also going to say gigabytes of. And then we're going to say the speed of the memory. So we'll memory.speed. And then lastly, we'll say megahertz here just so it's clear as to what the speed is. And then we will add memory one last time. And we'll put the manufacturer. And we'll say RAM, since that's what most people are going to be aware of. So you'll see that we moved all these variables in here and making this in. So we'll start with the model of our device. Any large manufacturer is going to have a model of the device listed. If you have a custom device, it may not list a model, so you might want to exclude that. So we'll say the device model with a video processor of whatever form that's not the Intel UHD, featuring a whatever the CPU is, with memory size of, so however much memory we have in terms of gigabytes, with a specific set of megahertz from and that RAM is made by a specific manufacturer. So if we run this now, we now get this beautiful line right here. So it gives us the device name. So we got a GS66 Stealth 10SE. So that's our Model.Model. And then we're saying width right here. And then we have the GPU. So NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060 GPU. And then we're saying featuring and so that's right here. And then the CPU name, Intel Core i7 10700H CPU, running at 2.6 gigahertz with, and then our memory size, 64 gigabytes of memory, and then our speed, 3200 megahertz, Samsung RAM. And I would add in here, just for sake of flow and English, we'll say 3200 megahertz of Samsung RAM. So let's run this one more time. 64 gigabytes, 3200 megahertz. Yeah. You can adjust this however you feel like that makes the most sense to you, and by simply moving these variables around. So if you wanted to do something like 64 gigabytes of Samsung, so like let's do this, we'll grab the Memory.Manufacturer of Samsung, and then MemorySpeed, and then so that might even read a little better for somebody reading it. So now we got all of that, and then we get up to the RAM here, so 64 gigabytes of Samsung 3200 megahertz RAM. That sounds a lot better than what our original did. So that is the long way of getting a title put together for your computer posting that you might be making on any form of marketplace online. That being said, while this was somewhat time-consuming to create, if you are selling computers regularly, this might help you make a header for your sales much quicker and easier by just needing to power on the device, run this script real quick, and then copy and paste it out. So hope this helps, and if you're selling something, I encourage you to use this, and if you were just here for the ride and wanted to learn something new, I hope you had a fantastic time doing so. Have a great day.